Well, hello there and welcome. My name is Kylie Patchett and I'm your host, and welcome to the Wild and Finally Fucking Free podcast. This show is all about sharing the real and raw stories from women who have undergone midlife metamorphosis, taken a leap of faith, or broken the ties that bind them in patterns of staying stuck, small, and like their needs don't matter. You see, I believe that the years leading up to and during menopause are a rite of passage, a deep invitation after so many years of giving our time, attention, and energy to others to carve out the same time, energy, and attention in ourselves, in our health, our love, our connection, our vitality, our purpose, our real needs and deep desires. You know, those ones lying dormant underneath all the duty, responsibility, pushing, striving, and achieving of our 20s and 30s? You see, at this stage in our lives, we find ourselves shifting identity potentially, no longer caring as much what other people think, and left wondering why on earth we have not given ourselves permission to do life in the way we truly want to. In this show, I speak to the women brave enough to truth talk their own midlife shedding skin stories and the healers and helpers who help them transition through these crossroads of change. This is the midlife magic you didn't even know you needed, and I am so freaking glad you found us. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Wild and Finally Fucking Free podcast show. Today, I have my first double act interview. So, welcome, ladies. How are you?
We're great.
Yes, thank you. So I have the beautiful Betsy and Kate from TendHER Wild. And actually, I was just on your show and I was telling the weird story about how I found you guys. So just for reference, viewers, I had a program in my mind and I was thinking, I just want to put it out there to have the perfect name drop in. So as I usually do, I'm like, okay, here's some of my ideas. I'll just sleep. And then I wake up one morning, I said to Shane, TendHER, like tend, H-E-R. And he, as always, is like, okay, it's a smile and nod, like any good husband does. And then anyway, I started Googling around and I found you guys because the TendHER Wild podcast is your baby. So I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for coming. Thank you. So do you want to, let's start with you, Betsy, just because you're on the left-hand side of my screen. Do you want to introduce yourself and also the work that you do together?
Great. So my name is Betsy Rippentrop, and I am a licensed psychologist. I've been in practice 20 years. Also a certified yoga meditation teacher for 15 years, I think. And Kate and I have been friends, not forever, but have known each other. We've lived in the same town for a long time and sort of would run into each other, and I always liked her. But it's in the last couple of years that we got together and started to have these deeper conversations. And I think we were both grateful to find a friend who was willing to like really go there instead of just like be on the surface about how are your kids and did you hear about so-and-so? And so many times we're having these deep conversations and Kate would say to me, God, we should be recording this. This is so good.
Yes.
And so after we ended up doing there was a grant that came through. We were really lucky to get post-pandemic to serve women because the research had shown that women were having really a challenge mental health-wise following the pandemic. So we did this self-compassion program online for 1,000 women called TendHER.
Wow.
And then out of that, we came up with this podcast. And maybe Kate can tell you how the wild part came in. The TendHER came from the self-compassion course. And then we added on the wild. So
I have so many questions already, but Kate, do you want to introduce yourself in that part and then we'll dive in?
So Kylie, I am a recovering lawyer. So I spent my first career was I was a prosecutor and I did high conflict divorce work. So I picked two very high stress areas of law to start my career. And I think that really has informed the rest of my life because I moved away from that after having my third child. And I've served in a lot of roles, but most recently as a CEO of an organization that I took on right when COVID hit. And so all my CEO experiences during a crisis, which also was really fascinating.
Intense.
Very intense. Yes. So over the past year, I've really been healing my feminine. And so I think that's probably why I'm drawn to Betsy. I think we've both been complementary in how we're healing the masculine and feminine.
I'm healing the masculine. So Kate has a healthy masculine, and it helps me, and my feminine is very developed. And so I think we're kind of yin yang.
I love this. I'm imagining this beautiful yin yang symbol.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so I've been, I've always done Betsy's yoga, and I started doing some of her trainings around mind body. I got my coaching certification, all to kind of work on myself.
Yes.
And then just recently left my corporate position in January.
Congratulations.
So it feels very freeing. And about a year and a half ago now, we went to Iceland on a yoga retreat, and Betsy was there, and the theme was wild.
Well, the theme wasn't going to be that. It was going to be something completely different. And we got to Iceland, and it was so wild. The people, the weather,
it's so rugged and beautiful in a stark way.
Started to tap into wild energy and how it's really our essence. And Kate and I have both been huge fans of Women Who Run with the Wolves.
Yes.
Paula Estes. I read it first 20 plus years ago. And then I think after that trip really started to dive back into it. I think maybe before that trip, I was already in it. And so then she and I were like, we should call the podcast TendHER Wild, because that's what we want women to do, is return to their essence, return to their true nature, which is more wild. It's more free.
Way more wild.
Not so constricted and contained.
Yeah. I'm really interested, because I often find when you find the language for something and then you put it out there, it becomes such a big theme in your own life. It just rolls through your own life. Yeah. So I'm really interested to hear how returning to your wild self. And I love what you say on your show, which is, who were you before you lost your wild self? That I remember, I listened to the first episode of your show when I was walking in the rainforest. I was on holidays on the Sunshine Coast near us. And that question, I always describe things like chiropractic adjustments for the soul. Sometimes when someone asks you a question and it just hits you, and you're just oh, okay, that's a good question. So I want to hear, Betsy, how has it played out in your life, finding your wilds in the last, or has it amplified this journey for yourself?
Yeah, I don't think, it's hard to even put into words everything that's transpired. I do think that when you tap into, I think what Kate and I are doing in this podcast and in our lives is we're tapping into this really deeper archetypal energy of the wild woman.
Yeah.
And she's free, but she's also more fierce, and she's more outspoken, and she is more of a warrior. She wants to live in truth. She's creative. She's intuitive. So I think because we are literally living into that archetypal energy every week when we are talking about a theme for the podcast or we're interviewing someone, she won't right now in my life right now necessarily even let me rest. I'm sleeping, but it feels like there's been so much depth work and inner work, and not all easy in this last year.
No,
but all relevant and necessary and good. Because I think for myself, and this is Kate's story too, raised a good girl, raised a rule follower. The way I survived was being perfect and getting good grades and people pleasing. That's been my real Achilles heel is just making sure if everyone loves me, then I'll be okay. And so I lived under that and so many good things come out of that, which is, if I can say, the mind fuck of all of it.
Yeah,
because
absolutely, you can say.
When you do everything right, people love you and they ask you to do a bunch of things, but it's soul sucking. And you also lose track of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just meeting everyone else's expectations, or I was. And so I feel like this last year has been a real journey of letting go of all these stories and these poking holes in all those storylines I've been carrying for so long, and that have been so exhausting.
Mm.
So I feel like I'm getting more energy from it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I was just listening to, we have a really amazing podcast in Australia called The Imperfects, and it's three guys. And the premise is basically just to come together and be totally honest about all their imperfections. And some of the conversations fascinate me. And I also love that they're men, so they have a different perspective to me. So I really appreciate that. And yesterday I listened to an interview of someone that's quite well known on our TVs. And she was saying, she was just an ordinary person. And then fame came. And in the last 20 years, that's been her, like fame has been where she's kind of lived, and it's never felt right. And she said something very similar to what you just said, which was you lose track of who you are because you're so busy saying yes to all the things that you feel like you should be saying yes to. And I think that we do it unconsciously and we're not clear on the cost of the people pleasing. So yes, we get this gain in inverted commas of, people loving us and accepting us and feeling like we're okay in the world. But I don't think we realize until
it doesn't actually meet the deeper, like as I think about what the deeper pain was or the deeper need was, all the people pleasing and having people like you, right, doesn't ever really touch that sort of deeper desire to be seen and known, because who are they liking? Well,
exactly.
It's a caricature of what they want to see and know.
Yes.
Versus this true wild essence.
Yeah.
Is what you really want to be seen for, but you're not even acting from it because there's all these stories around how you should be.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
I know. I feel like this could become a 5-hour episode, but I won't take that much of your time. I'm interested, is that part of this beautiful friendship that you've formed of being able to really, truly be the depths and the realness of all that you are without this need to try and, have you had relationships with friends before where you've definitely played that people pleaser role, so they haven't been?
Oh God, yes.
I think most of them, and a lot of looking back.
Yeah.
I think it's, I think it starts so young with girls because we become somewhat competitive. And so try to win favor with certain girls young, to be in a certain group or in a clique. And so we immediately morph in like middle school into something we're not, just to fit in. And, some of our younger guests, and they're, we've been so impressed with some of these young guests that have figured it out much younger. And have said, that's not me. And I'm not going to be anything but me. And I have so much respect for that. For us, it took a lot of life experience to come back
40 years.
In 40
years. Yeah, exactly.
So, and so for someone at 18, 20 years old, even 29, to say, I'm living my truth and authenticity.
Was it Mirren? I'm not sure if I've got her name correct. Moreland. At 28. She's like 150 in her wisdom. And I'm like, what? What's the heck? Just amazing.
So it gives me hope that, things are, that they are shifting a bit, and that things are starting to open up for, our daughters and this next generation, because I don't want my daughter to wait 50 years to like find her true self. I want her to,
But it does help to have friends and people in your life that are willing to be in the mess with you. I mean, and I think that's one of the things that I think Kate and I have been able to do for each other, is to really be raw. Like, this has been a really raw year for both of us, know? And so to be able just to hold and listen to the rawness and the messiness, and without judgment. Because that's the thing I've realized, is that a perfectionist believes that you should be perfect. And if you're not perfect, you're failing.
Yes.
But like, we're supposed to mess up. Like, life is so messy. It's so messy. And so to have someone be like, oh yeah, that's messy.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you. Really, I love all your messy magic.
See you, and I love you. And there's no solution, and it's going to be okay.
And so much of it is holding space for each other to just be where we are, right? And not invent, and be able to like be honest about how hard things are, what we're facing, and, making big decisions and being an indecision and all of that without judgment or worrying about what the other person's going to think. And that is a huge gift. And I think it's sometimes rare. I have wonderful relationships, but I'm not totally open with just everyone either.
No.
But I think that's part of why we wanted to do this podcast is we actually believe that this is possible for women, and women need more of this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And women need circles, but there's all these reasons why women don't trust each other, whether they have a deep mother wound, so they couldn't trust their mother. So why are they going to trust their friend? Or they have a sister wound, or they had a boss who totally took advantage of them. And so I think part of our deep desire in this podcast and just in our individual work is like, how do we let women champion and support each other? Because that's how our world is going to heal, is if we as women come together and we're on the same team instead of backstabbing, talking about each other, jealous.
Yeah, so true. I love you always champion women in your podcast. I really just I love that because I definitely relate to a deep mother wound, and that has definitely been. I even noticed myself on the weekend. I was saying to you before we started recording, I went away with friends that I've had since I was in forensic biology, and as you would say, recovering lawyer, I would say recovering scientist. Like a recovering left brain, very anal retentive scientist. Yes, but I left that lab in 2003, and I've still got a circle of 5 girlfriends, or 4 girlfriends plus me, and we haven't seen each other for ages because of the pandemic and whatever, people moving overseas, and saw them on the weekend, and I felt for the first time, and these are good friends, but I have always held friends still at arm's length because of that lack of feeling safe around women. And I really noticed how my conversations and my energy and my openness has shifted because I've been doing lots of messy, painful work, as you said, Betsy, messy, on that. And to be able to sit and be completely honest and to be witnessed and accepted, because the thing with those things is it's our story. It's not the person who, these girls, they've been friends of mine for a long, long time. It's not them holding their love and acceptance and appreciation away from me. It's me holding myself away from anything that I could have had in a total open relationship. That felt very strong for me on the weekend. And so I really relate to what you're saying in terms of being completely real and how those wounds can impact that. And totally agree.
But even if you have a mother wound, which let's be frank, so many do.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think you do have to look at your relationships with women. Do you have a lot of mistrust for women? Probably a lot of it does stem from some early wounding.
Yeah.
But you can have a healing relationship with a woman in the here and now that helps heal that old patterning. So it's like, I think it's like you have this whole opportunity to find healing with women.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you get to this age, and as I said before, with the at what cost, I'm realizing that all of that story that I had has been at a huge cost to what I could have been open to. And now I feel very blessed to have, that desire to return to my wild self and the space. And, my kids one's out of the nest and one is very, very soon to be. And so I guess, I don't know, is that the gift of this time of life when we start to open up? Kate, I'm interested to hear what you were meaning before. I know you're the oldest, and when I listened to your recent episode on boundaries, you were saying the way that you kind of decided what career was like, I'm just going to go and I wanted to be a teacher, but then, I was told that was not enough. And so you went and did, really hard stuff, right? So is that what you're meaning by healing the masculine? So you're just like pushing, ignoring your heart, disconnected from your own truth. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey? I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah. So I really did follow a very masculine path. I think law is a very masculine profession. The schooling is the whole thing. And I remember one of my first weeks there, having this gut feeling of like, it's like the red flag, that feeling of like,
absolutely.
what am I doing here? And I distinctly remember pushing it down and saying, and I did tell one person, and they're like, oh, it gets better. It's totally going to get better.
Just ignore it.
Yeah.
Oh, just ignore it for the next 20 or so years. It's all good.
Yeah. And so I think I started ignoring a lot of my instincts, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And stepping away from the law was I had like shame and guilt around that because I'd invested all this time and money. And my father's a lawyer, was actually wonderful, and said, I just want you to be happy. I was so concerned about, disappointing the people I cared about.
Yeah.
More so than myself. Right.
Yeah.
So I was willing to, at all costs, make everyone else happy for a long time. And then I spent, the next many years kind of rediscovering what I enjoyed and following more of a path of my interests until, I got to where I am today. And I feel like I'm now at this compilation of all these things that have been like building blocks on top of one another.
Yeah.
And so I feel the most myself because I've taken the skills, but I'm using them in my own authentic way, which I feel like helping other women do the same thing is something I love to do, because I do believe there is not one way to do things, and that women who tap into their inner knowing and what their own dharma is and what their gifts are and start to recognize how they can deploy them in their own authentic way.
Yes.
When we see more creativity and we see more collaboration and all the feminine gifts that feminine offers. And so we just all get caught up in that world of, where we think success is. And so it's taken me a long time to unravel that and to recognize that and to not apologize for it. I think that's, I remember always feeling like I needed to give the reason why I'm no longer, and now I'm getting more comfortable in just owning it. Like this is why I'm very confident in where I'm going with all of this. I love what I'm doing, which, it's like going from representing women in divorce to coaching them through their next transition is not that far apart.
No, it really isn't.
My own way, right? So
at a different angle, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, as Betsy said in that episode that you did, you really are a teacher, just not in the, K to, what do you call it? K to 12 or whatever.
K through 12.
Yeah.
K through 12. That's not a thing in Australia, but yes. I mean, we do have K through 12, but we just don't call it that. Anyway, you're not doing the formal teaching, but you absolutely are. And I also strongly believe that, our own journeys add so much to our ability to be able to coach people through from a point of completely losing their ability to listen and respond to their own, inner guidance system. It is so much more powerful when someone can use their life experience as well as their formal qualifications, etc., to help someone through that, because you've lived that. You've lived in, a life where you are reasoning down, or living from the head up, or however you want to say it. And to be able to help people to connect to that is such a gift. So you are teaching, just, it's like a full circle. It's so good. When you say that you feel most like yourself, what does that free you from? Like where's the wild woman come from that? Hey, gorgeous. We interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard. Real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode.
Yeah, I think I feel very free from expectations of others.
Ooh.
The first time.
Can we all just breathe that in for a second?
Yeah. In and out.
Yeah. Because I've always been tied to those. And I think, that's one of the gifts of starting something of your own.
Yes.
Is the autonomy that comes with that.
Absolutely.
It's not easy. It's every day I have to make choices, and there's certainly it's not all roses, and I don't want to make it sound like it's such an easy thing, but when I let myself stop and pause and say, you finally have kind of control over your destiny, and this is you get to choose these things.
Such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very freeing, and it almost simplifies things for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I was navigating so many different opinions and where I should be doing something. And there was such a dissonance that that took up energy too. That was not easy. So there's a lightness now that I feel. And it's been interesting, even in the 3 months, I've been gone about 2.5 months now, running into people, and they're like, you look different. You seem different.
There's light in your eyes.
Yeah.
And in your heart.
Rested for the first time ever. I think that's part of it too. But I think it's made me realize, wow, I was carrying around a lot of heaviness, trying to keep everything together.
Which comes back to that at what cost thing. It's and I think you said before, Betsy, people can't have a relationship with you if you're not being your true self anyway, because they're trying to interact with something that is actually like a hologram of you, because it takes so much flipping energy to try, and that's what I'm realizing. And I think for me, would you guys agree that this midlife, my energy is definitely much less than what it has been, and I hope that it will come back post-menopausally. That's my deepest wish. But at the moment, I literally don't have as much bandwidth to do all the expectation and obligation things. So I've had to be clearer on what I will and won't say yes to. And I feel like that.
I think it's set up that way. I think it's so beautiful that our bodies and I think not only do our bodies get too tired, but our psyches get too full.
Absolutely.
Because we keep collecting stories, and we keep collecting belief systems, and we keep collecting traumas, and we keep collecting things we can't let go of. And then you're really full, and you're really heavy. And so you're tired all the time.
Yeah.
And so you are forced to either, put up with the heaviness and just sort of languish in your life, or figure out what's going on here. I have to let go of a bunch of shit.
Yes.
And figure out who I am.
Yep.
And like cut through all my ego bullshit and transition into this like more true, like actually who I truly am. But I actually have a theory that you can't do that when you're 20. I mean, I know we've had some guests that are like old souls, but I also think they're going to have their stuff they pick up and have
I agree.
midlife process too. But I do think like it's part of the beauty and also the pain, right, of midlife. We just have to all go through this process.
Yeah.
Or just numb out and like pretend it's not happening. But
no, I'm not willing to do that to myself anymore. We talked about this before, like the, burning down of the ego. It's like I'm standing in the fire and it's painful and it's messy. And when is it ever going to end and all of that? But there is definitely that gift of, if we can allow ourselves to just surrender to, I'm definitely going through lots of shedding of things that are really painful. I went yesterday, I wanted to have a celebration day because I've got to the end of this first month in a program that I'm in, and I'm really, really bad at celebrating myself and what I've been able to step into. And because I'm really actively shedding the skins of being corporatized again, Kate, you will understand this. I really wanted to change the way that I relate to those types of things. And so I was like, what can I do? I love having time to myself, which is I really have a high need for time to myself. So I went and, did a float in one of those magnesium float tanks, which was beautiful. Oh my goodness, I'm addicted. And then I thought, I'm going to go and see a movie. And I thought, okay, what movie's on? And I just randomly turned up to a cinema and I was just like, I'm just going to say yes to whatever's on, as long as it's not obviously violent. Or okay, can't do that. Anyway, A Man Called Otto was still playing in this little cinema. So I went. I didn't know what it was about. I had no expectations. I have a parent who was suicidal my entire childhood.
Oh.
What is that movie about? Multiple times. Suicide attempts. So I'm in the cinema after I've had my little float and I'm just tears streaming down my face. But I've gotten to the stage where I'm like, this was all just meant to come to the surface at this age anyway. So you may as well just let it fall. And I did. I mean, I walked out of the cinema with massive, big red, eyes, sunglasses on. But there's something cathartic about just going, this is painful, but the pain, as we know, emotion rises to be passed. And then when we're little, we shove it down. And I feel like this time of life has opened up that Pandora's box of just the pain is just going to come to the surface. And my role is just to sit in the fire and let it go, burn, whatever it is doing. Betsy, when you were talking about healing your feminine, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? And what are the things that you are being invited to put down?
Well, I feel like Kate has been healing her feminine and I've been healing my masculine.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yes, I got that wrong.
Which I think is, this has all come in the last really year. I think my feminine I actually have a really good relationship with my mother. I've always been very connected to women. I've had always lots of friends my whole life. It's a rare thing for me to let go of a friend, with a female friend. Even my profession, I reflect on. I chose a very feminine profession.
Yeah,
I chose
you did.
Psychology.
And then added the yoga
studio, which is like primarily women clients and women teachers. And so, but I just in the last year have realized how much I was an avoidance of men. And I was avoidance of, again, that archetypal masculine energy. I went to a healing retreat in the last year that I thought, I didn't know what it was going to be made up of, but it was primarily men, which I was shocked at, because if you ever go to healing retreats, it's usually women.
Women are mad for that stuff.
But it was more men than women on this retreat. And that very first day, I was so triggered. I was angry and I was like ready to leave. And the male yoga teacher made me angry. And I was kind of shocked, but I was watching it. And it was at that point that I realized how much anger I had at men, how much fear I had of men. But of course, if you're angry at men, you have an inner masculine. So you're angry at yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's what I have had to really come to terms with is
Mm.
I had a good reason to be angry at men because I've been harmed in the past.
Yes.
But then my inner masculine had also become toxic. And a toxic inner masculine looks like overworking, over-efforting, like very critical. And this was all critical of myself, like angry at myself, not letting myself rest, not being, and it's so strange because my feminine with all these people in my life is so compassionate and soft and nurturing and healing. But like I wasn't taking that and applying that to my masculine.
Yeah.
So my masculine was in there festering and angry. And so how it was looking in my life is I was projecting it onto the men around me, particularly my husband, who, because I had all this inner angst, I was looking at him with all these horrible ideas about who he was and what he was doing and why I should be mad at him. And it took me really kind of going layer through layer and all my own healing crises around this to really finally own that I had to do inner masculine healing work. And I'm still doing it. Like, I don't think these things, I have clarity around it now. Like I have insight around it now.
Yeah.
And for me, I do think it is setting boundaries. That's why Kate's actually such a good matchup for me in terms of just like, she's not afraid to ask people for things where I'll be like, oh, I don't know if I can step forward. Like I just watch her do things and I watch her set boundaries and I watch her get mad at stuff and express it. And so it's been great to be like, oh, I think that's what healthy masculine is like.
I want a Kate. I'm just going to I'm going to stick to you guys like a barnacle. No, continue. Sorry.
And she does the same thing for me.
Yeah. On the flip side, that's what's beautiful about this.
She's been a teacher for me in the feminine.
Yeah.
Which is,
that's the perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're connected. I was a psychology major as well, a psychology degree. So it's like I think about us having that in common and then going very different directions with it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
And then like how we've kind of almost come back to working very similarly. I mean, each of us with our own nuance, but like trying to get back to wholeness with both our masculine and feminine, because that took us on such a route of, sacrificing one for the other in a lot of ways. So,
that's
that. I mean, part of, our work has been all about the feminine rising and poking holes in what the patriarch has done to us. But I have to admit, like, as I'm doing this inner masculine work, like, I'm really tired of just being mad at men and the patriarchy.
Yeah,
like,
I am too.
I'm kind of tired of it. And I have 2 sons. And like, I actually think that men have had just as hard of a time, if not more than women in some ways, because
I agree.
They don't get relationships like Kate and I have, or they don't get to cry at the theater, or they don't, right? Like they don't get to call their boyfriend up and tell them about what they're feeling that day. Like they just have to suck it all up and act like they're just fine. And I think, oh my gosh, how do these men, no wonder they're armored. No wonder, power and prestige is their one way to feel okay. Like they're so harmed and hurt. And so
of course they are.
I don't know, as I'm healing, just even speaking it right now, I'm like, oh, my inner masculine is getting better because I can now say like what compassion I have for men and what they've had to weather because of this systemic cultural.
Yeah, because anything out of balance is not just affecting one part of the collective. The whole collective is out of balance. And I totally agree. I am getting very tired of everything. It's like we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. As soon as we see an issue, it's like the patriarchy. And then by definition, it's all men, all boys, all this. And I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute. That's not a solution. Like that's just treating the problem with the same energy that it took to create it. So how do we, and I do think, I can't remember which one of you said, but I do think that when we're working with healing or helping women to heal, we are healing. Like healed women help heal families and communities.
Yes.
And, you know, bigger.
Women are the healers.
Yeah, totally.
Feminine is the healing.
Huge
right?
goosebumps
And
everywhere.
the feminine is the power. Like the women hold the power, like from an archetypal, the feminine is power. The masculine is like consciousness, it's thinking, right?
Yes.
So, you know, like, gosh, we women, we are so powerful together.
Yeah.
And we're such healers. So I do really think for this planet to heal, we women have to come together. Like there's no choice anymore.
No, absolutely
have to figure out how to all be on the same side and garner our, you know, energies together to make a difference.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think from I was thinking about this from a leadership perspective. I mean, there's some women leaders in our realm that are incredibly masculine, almost toxic masculinity as women leaders. So it's finding that balance for all of us.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
where there's true.
And there's men who maybe lead from more of that feminine archetypal energy, right? So this isn't a gender thing. And I think that's when we talk about masculine, feminine energy, it's so easy to think it's about gender. Nothing. It's actually, we all are carrying these energies inside of us.
Yeah. I remember when I first got together, when we first started talking about this and are kind of realizing we were healing the opposite side, I was like, I'm just done with the masculine. I've lived that way the first 50 years. I'm checking out of the masculine.
Going into my feminine.
Yeah. And then I realized, no, I need that part of me too. Like I can't accomplish things without it. So I had to kind of reconcile, like, no, I'm not checking out. I actually just am recalibrating, which I feel like the world needs to do. Yeah. Individuals need to do it. So it's on an individual and a collective basis.
Yeah. I really relate to that. I look back at, I was, I don't know, probably 25. And I found myself through a weird set of circumstances where I ended up being in charge of a really big medical company at 25, which you don't have the depth of experience to lead people at 25. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. But anyway, my way of getting through that, even that says that I shouldn't have been there, was to just be fiercely masculine. So it's very warm and compassionate and welcoming and helpful with my team. But towards myself, I was like, you will be there at sun up. You will be there until well past sundown. You will work. Like when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I worked 24-hour shifts because it was a sleep and respiratory lab. So we used to do night shifts. So if someone didn't turn up for night shifts, I'd just stay to do the night shift. And I look back and I think, what was that about? But I had such a deep well of, I have to work hard to prove myself, like that lack of self-worth. And so, you know, I went to uni and did the very left brain thing. I want to be a naturopath. That's what I was enrolled in naturopathy. And my dad said, you'll never make any money in natural medicine. So I went and did forensic science and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so similar. Anyway, what I'm saying is I just really relate to that, like fierce masculine. And my response when I first went into entrepreneurship, like 10 years ago, this is my second sort of business 2.0 for me. I just wanted to just float on through everything because I definitely went to the other extreme. And it's like, hang on a minute, this doesn't work either. So it's that integration. And I feel like integrating in all the different phases of our lives, because it's very different to try and do that when you're also juggling motherhood or aging parents or whatever. I'm very blessed, and I'm very aware that this is not everyone's awareness, but I'm very blessed to be in a very undemanded time of my life at the moment, where I can feel into what it feels like to just, sit in the mess, but also, what does this feel like if I bring the masculine and feminine together? I'm curious, how would you define someone who does have a well-integrated masculine and feminine, Betsy, when you're thinking about, extremes?
That's a great question. And I don't think we actually even have a term or even a picture of it, because it just, I don't want to say that it hasn't happened, but I think we're just starting to tune into this in a new way in our culture. There's more awareness of it now.
Yeah.
And also I think balance is such an elusive idea, and it's not really true either. that I will always lead with more feminine energy in my life. And Kate will probably always lead with more masculine energy. Like that's just our natural tendencies. But for me to be more whole and maybe more content, I got to ramp up my masculine skills of boundaries and saying no and having hard conversations and, structure and organization. And for Kate, she's got to ramp up her feminine. And so it's like, there's not a perfect 50-50 in the middle and, you've arrived. But I think once you know what energy you lead with, what your tendency is, and that you have to put a little more effort into the other side, that's what allows you to move towards more wholeness.
And also perhaps like, what does the situation or the current moment call for?
Yes, true.
I think awareness is really understanding what part of me do I need to bring to this? Is it the side of me that, is going to get this done, follow through, be more logical in how I'm looking at this? There are certain times when different experiences or whatever's happening call for different things.
True.
But for me, it's just been the awareness of it. And now I recognize the parts of myself and what, when I do come up against things that are hard, it's because I'm usually attacking them from the wrong angle, or I'm too much in my masculine, or I'm, so it's just the awareness that has like been life-changing in a way. Because I wasn't able to like put my finger on what it was until this last few years.
And for me too, I had no idea how to toxic masculine. Like I've been doing inner work on myself for years out of the womb. Right? And to not even like know that I was carrying this inner toxic masculine, I could see it in every toxic male around me. Like I would be triggered and I could see it in every man that went by me, but I wasn't able, of course I could see it in them because it was in me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for me, being able to finally own that and see that, and it's interesting because my inner toxic masculine never came out at anyone else, but it came out at me. So the way I was treating myself, self-flagellation and the criticalness and the like emotional abuse, right? Like that was all coming back at me.
And the overworking. That's very much my experience. I think both of you, that you've used the word awareness so many times, and it just keeps hitting me between the eyeballs. It's like when we're not aware, we don't have any choice. When we're aware, we have choice. And I think to me, that is really the key of any of the work that we ever do. It's just like we're just seeking more awareness, more understanding. I love the, know yourself, heal yourself, not thyself, kind of concept. I think that's, to me, very helpful because I feel like I've spent a long time running around on automatic pilot, as we always do, but I know that that's part of the human experience, but bringing these things into our awareness, it's such a gift. You mentioned, Betsy, boundaries, and I wanted to circle back to boundaries because you've just done a really amazing episode. I'll actually put it in the show notes about boundaries. And I have to say, your show, when it's just the two of you talking backwards and forwards, now I'm having this conversation about healing, I'm like, that is so true, because what I love about your show is that you have two different perspectives. And so I feel like I'm getting the whole, all of the facets of I really appreciate. And when you were talking about boundaries, Kate, you said, and I won't have the quote exactly right, but you basically said, having boundaries is a way of healing ourselves. And I was just like, mind blown. Okay.
I was like, whoa, I've never thought of boundaries in that way. I thought of boundaries as like necessary evil, gotta set them, gotta say no, gotta put up my structures. But for her to say like, no, this is healing. And for me, it was so relevant because healing my inner masculine means I really need to be so clear on boundaries.
Yeah. What you will and won't do.
Because I was just coming out of this time of where I wasn't able to set them for a very long time. And now I'm very conscious of them. And I'm finding them when I say no to something, I literally can feel myself be like, thank you.
So good.
So that's for me where I'm like, this is healing me. Like whether
so
it's like,
good.
emotionally or physically, like there is a real part of that is my body, whether it's my inner child or just my physical body saying, thank you for taking care of me. Like
it's like your body and your inner child is breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
But that's so inspiring to me to hear Kate say that she says no. And she's like, oh, thank you. Cause I say no. And I'm like, oh no, is it okay? They're just gonna like me. Right. So it just shows, right.
Yeah. Two different.
And we all have our different stuff that we're working through. But for me, it's like that people pleasing part of I'm going to say no.
Yes.
And they're not going to like me and they're going to say something bad about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but I still have to say no. And that's why I love you to hear you say like, oh, I get like this breeze of, oh, my body feels, I'm like, oh, I want to get there.
I want that.
Actually, you guys will love this. I have this thing coming up this week that I said yes to a couple weeks ago. I was like, why the hell did I say yes to this? I'm so excited to turn around and say no.
Ah, so good.
I'm preparing to say,
actually, I can't do this.
I can't do this. And I knew at the time.
And you're excited?
Because I know I'm going to, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, because it's like a whole evening. And I'm like, why would I say yes to this? And then I realized, just because I said yes in the moment doesn't mean I have to.
I love that.
Yes.
You can like change your mind.
I can change my mind.
We can change our mind.
Yeah. And I've changed it.
Good. You know what I feel like I'm witnessing? I feel like I'm witnessing a woman who's addicted to being wild. Like the way that your body and your face just lit up, Kate, when you were talking about that, I was like, that's a woman who's wild and fucking finally free. Like to me, that's like when
and it's new. Like
so good. It's so inspiring. I've had this year, I have decided to say a big no around a particular person who society tells me I should have a relationship with, and I should, all of those things. And for my own mental health, but also healing space and bandwidth, I've made a very drastic step back. And I have had a similar experience, Kate, where my entire body, and with this person, I used to be like very reactive. So it would be like a very high, dramatic, like, wah. And the time that I actually set this boundary, I was the stillest and surest that I've ever been. And as soon as the words were out of my mouth, my entire body just went, well, actually, my brain went, wow, if I'd known that was a choice years ago, I would have done it years ago. And my body was just like, oh, it's like my stress levels just like ratcheted down to 50%. And I'm just like
that decision, I just felt from you like that decision healed both your masculine and your feminine.
Well, I feel like, because I feel like I'm not so, it's like I don't even know how to put it into words. I just feel so much more calm. And I notice when I'm interacting with the people that really matter to me, that I'm also I'm much more present, because it's like my brain is not spending 50% of its energy, or my brain or my nervous system, I don't really know, like some part of me, my hypervigilant, high alertness has been turned down. So I'm in the moment. Like I had this, my husband's away at the moment, and the daughter that's still here, I was doing a whole heap of meal prep last night, because I was just like, one of the ways I want to take care of myself while Shane is away is to just make sure there's good food at hand that I can just grab. And that to me is part of that masculine structure that supports my feminine, because then I just don't, like, I get to flow through my week then, and I don't have to be thinking about, I hate that end of things. But she and I were just at the table, and she was cutting veggies, I was cutting veggies, and I was just like, my soul is still. That's actually what it feels like. Like that is just such a magical place to find yourself after so many years of feeling, hypervigilant. And I think that was part of, exactly.
And you're healing your daughter. Like I'm just thinking about you finally saying no, just your energy and your presence. And even if she doesn't fully understand it or see it all, like she's feeling you.
Yeah, exactly.
So these hard things we have to do. And it's true. Like I so related to your idea of, I didn't know I could do that. I don't know. I could, if I would
I
have
didn't
known
even know it was an
no
option.
all those years ago, whoa, how would my life have been different? So yeah, I think so many women relate to that.
Yeah.
We don't even know we are allowed to say
No.
no or say this doesn't feel good or this isn't right for me, or we don't
And I
even know
think,
how to do that.
Kate, you use the word expectation. My mind is it's an obligation thing. And I've got this filter, this new filter for myself. The question is, am I doing this out of obligation, or am I doing it from a sense of generosity? And I'm like, oh, that's like, it's such an easy litmus test, right? Because obligation feels heavy and dark, and I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it because I have to. Whereas, you can still do the same thing, but if you've got the resources and you feel that it's aligned to what you want to offer that person, then you can do it from a sense of generosity, completely different energy. And I would say much more powerful for that other person, as you just said, Betsy, than, doing things through obligation. Because again, if you're doing things through obligation, you're not being your true self. So that person hasn't even got a chance to interact with who you really are.
You never have a chance to have a clean relationship with that person.
Exactly.
Because you're already coming in feeling obligated and feeling a little bitter and feeling a little like armored up. And so the potential to even have a healthy relationship is not even possible.
Exactly.
Which is why I think with boundaries, when you say no, it's for you, but it's a loving thing for you, but it's for the other person as well.
Yes.
Even if on the surface, it doesn't look loving at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to say yes to things all the time. And then I would get, and I think this is unhealed, toxic masculine, as you're talking, Betsy, that passive aggressive energy, like a real, and I did used to turn it outside of myself, unfortunately, particularly towards my beautiful husband. But it was internal anger at me saying yes to things that I knew that I shouldn't, and that I didn't have the resources to, and I didn't actually want to. And then, building it up into that really unhealthy, and it's just like, I'm noticing that is not even a pattern anymore, because I'm actually not saying yes in the first place. And that is so nice, because I used to kind of look at myself after those events and think, am I like that nasty? Like, am I that person? Well, I just was that person, but it didn't feel like myself, but I couldn't unravel it for myself. It was like I was too far in the pattern to kind of see it. And then, sometime you get the awareness and then you're like, oh. Betsy, with boundaries, how, with the psychology lens, like you said in that episode about, we've all got traumas, whether it's big T, little t, whatever, and we learn ways of being that are protective, and sometimes that's the people pleaser or the good girl or whatever. And of course, by definition, that means you're saying yes to things that you naturally would have a boundary around if you were healthy relating. How do you describe that in psychology terms? I know we're having a personal conversation, but I'm just interested for people to get a little bit more of an understanding of why boundaries are so difficult for them.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I don't know if I can give you, it's so hard for me at this point in my career, in my life, to sort of separate my psychology scientific brain, here we're talking feminine, masculine, from my more yogic, meditative,
This
Eastern,
is what I love about you.
right? Like it's sort of like they're both there.
Yes.
So like, as you said it, what comes up for me is like this Buddhist idea of how do you reach balance, not too loose, not too tight, right? So I think if we've been trained, or if we've had a trauma as a kid, one way people cope with it is they get really tight. They literally tighten up their bodies. They put up all this armor. They don't let people in. So their boundaries are so uber high that like no one can get in. And so then they can never have really rich relationship because they're so boundaried.
Yeah.
But for other people, it could be even a very similar trauma. Instead of like getting all tight and armored, they get more fluid and like loose. And so it's more of like
permeable.
dissociation. They sort of like, they just sort of like have no boundaries and they're sort of in like a la la land, sort of dissociative place. And they just sort of meld with anyone and everyone that's in their environment.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, what do we find? We have to find that place in the middle, because such hard boundaries where my husband even said this the other day, that I would have gone the more fluid route and he would have gone the more like strict focused in route.
Yep.
And he said that his form of coping as a kid was like zero, like his focus would just go into a pinprick and he could sit and read for hours on it. Like he was like hyper focused. Whereas I would go back into like a dreamland where I would have like all right. So we both coped with trauma or challenge in different ways, but neither of them are that helpful, because when you have such high strict boundaries, you are emotionally distant, right? You're ironclad. No one can get to you. Your heart cannot open. Whereas for me, I was like such a soft puddle, but I could get taken advantage of so easily because, you know, I would just say yes to everyone. And right. So it's like finding that beautiful idea of, you know, the Buddhist would say, if you're playing a guitar, you have to have your string tuned so it's not too loose, not too tight. Right? You got to be in the middle.
I love that.
I think that's what we're all going for. And again, so what energy do you lead with? Are you more loose? Are you more tight?
Yeah.
And then can you find that happy middle?
As you're talking, I'm having this weird, it's like cognitive dissonance, because I'm like, I know my response to trauma was to tighten up and keep everyone out. And my response to feeling unsafe as a kid was to try and control every single thing as an adult, like super duper, like I would plan every single second of my day, because then I had that sense, which of course is incorrect, that everything was safe because I knew exactly what was happening. Life doesn't work like that. So, you know, that very soon had to be loosened up. But the weird thing that I'm having this dissonance about is that in my body, I'm super, super hypermobile. I'm actually being investigated for a genetic condition that's like not a great one for, it's like, oh, I wonder if had I not had to, but, you know, that was my response, to tighten up mentally, that my body would have actually not gotten floppy. I mean, I know, you know, you could, I just.
That's an interesting.
And also you're reminding me, when I first started doing yoga, I would have been about 20 or so. And my first like yoga master that I studied under for a long, long time, he was a Zen Tai Shiatsu therapist, and he was like deeply into all Eastern everything. I later learnt like all the traditional Chinese medicine, and then Thai principles and Oriental psychology, all sorts of really cool stuff. And when I used to do yoga, because I didn't know that I was hyperflexible, I was just like, that's my body, right? And he used to constantly say to me, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if that's my life lesson, I feel like I've got I'm all or nothing. And for me, it's that middle ground. And as we're talking now, I'm like, oh, and it's the masculine and the feminine and the physical and the, like, I'm like, what? My brain's just gone.
And I think it's that the traumatized brain is black and white.
Yes.
And the traumatized culture is black and white. I mean,
and we're living in a very black and white.
We are.
So I think it is, people's trauma is bubbling up. And I think there is a collective, well, we've been through collective trauma, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there is definitely, I think it's making people's individual stuff come up. Collectively we have it. Like, it's just, it feels like a collective trauma response right now.
Yes. Yeah.
To look at the world very black and white and to be polarized.
I'd agree with that.
Like, in general. So all we can really do is our own individual work.
Exactly. That's where it has to start, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So many other questions. Let me ask you a final one in terms of when you're thinking about something that you've set yourself wild and free from, and we've covered so many of these potential topics, but because we're all the same vintage, right? So we within a few years of each other age-wise. Actually, no, before that final question, can you just both talk about your pictures of yourself and the significance of those that you were sharing on that episode? Because I've got my little picture of myself here too.
Well, mine, I think I was about 5.
Yes.
In the picture. And I had dressed in all of my mom's. My mom played basketball, as did I. And she had these old basketball shoes, basketball sweatshirt. And I'm and jeans that
Mhm.
might have been mine, but they were way too big.
Yeah.
And I'm literally swimming in these clothes, but I'm like, my arms are up and I'm so like
Jubilant.
excited
Yeah.
and jubilant and just, and I look at that picture and I'm like, look how free I was.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't worried that the clothes didn't fit. It was something fun that I was honoring my mom by trying these on and coming downstairs in them. And yeah, it's just such a free picture to see yourself at a young age. So free.
Yeah.
And I didn't care.
Mhm.
It clearly was just like, yeah, joyful. So that was mine.
And so you've got that picture on your nightstand.
Yeah. I like
And I was really loving, because I've got 2 pictures of myself on my altar. And I just love the reference point of when you were talking about the boundaries of like the boundaries honoring that version of you, you know, that your true self before we learned all of these ways of being that perhaps haven't been, you know, protective, yes, but not necessarily helpful for anchoring your true self. Yeah, I just love that. I love that filter. And Betsy, you happened to do the same thing, but you didn't know this was happening, which is, and then I was listening going, me too.
I know you got your picture too. My picture, well, I have 2 pictures, but the one that I actually have it as the screensaver on my phone too, because it's very inspiring to me. Probably like 4. And I have on this like gymnastics mid-sleeve leotard, which is really funny because I was not enrolled in any gymnastics or dance, but like I wanted to do it. And I remember, and this is a picture of me in our backyard on a swing set hanging upside down with like my hair is, you know, hanging upside down and my face is so joyful. And I think about how as a kid, like we had this wood fence around our backyard and I would walk on it like a balance beam. Like I was imagining myself in the Olympics on the balance beam. I would do tumbling in the backyard and I would hang upside down. So I was already inherently really somatically in my body.
Very much so.
But then I left it and you know, had a trauma happen young in my life. And I can look back now and see, oh, and that's when I exited my body. And then I lived in my head, getting really smart and intellectual.
Yeah.
And getting a PhD.
Yep.
And then I didn't get back into my body until, like really my mid-20s. So I lived a good 20 years just from my neck up.
Yeah.
So she's a reminder to me, like, no, you were always like really, and I'm a yogi, so I love to go upside down.
Yeah, this is
right. And it was already there.
And what, like we were saying, like we were saying before with Kate wanting to be a teacher, like listening to that episode made me think, like I've got this photo of me, I'm squishing a chicken. I'm pretty sure I'm not meant to be a chicken farmer, but but I remember at that age or a little bit older, I was an only child. I spent a lot of time by myself, a lot of time dreaming and a lot of time writing these fantasy things. And my key desire at this time of my life is just to write to express, write to share, write to inform, write to connect people, and storytelling. And it's all this. I'm like, oh my God, we knew ourselves back then.
I know, and we forget.
And life does. But I think you're right, Betsy. I think there is a pattern here. Like I said when I was on your show, like Mother Nature knows her shit. Like we do not need to question the fact that we are having all these revelations and full circle moments and coming back home at this age. Yeah. I'm interested actually because I love the fact that you've got the science and then the woo-woo, because that's absolutely how I feel about myself as well. I'm like, I'm a forensic geneticist and I'm doing all these other things. How did the somatics come about in your own life? Because obviously that informs the work that you do with clients now.
Yeah, well, I spent 7 years getting that psychology PhD, and it was so heady and it was so intellectual. And I was learning all about working in people's headspaces, and I got done. And I had started yoga in grad school. And so I was already coming back home to my body, and I'd always known I wanted to do very mind-body focused work. And so then that's what led me to go really deep into studying yoga, because it was a way to bring the body, a way to connect the body and the mind. So I got done with this expensive graduate program and I basically had like a little meltdown, like, oh my gosh, I only know how to work with someone's head. No.
What about the rest of them?
I know. So thank goodness for yoga, like such a beautiful system, which is so wise and continues to astound me with its power.
And so much more depth and years and years and years, decades, like centuries of knowledge. That I laugh at myself when I was in forensic. Actually, just before I met my husband, which is 27 years ago, I had this quite a bad car accident, and I was, my left brain science self, neck up, like absolutely was, lecturing at university. Everything was black and white again, safety, control, all of that, and had this car accident. Couldn't actually move. I've got damage in my neck. Couldn't move my arms at all. I had time off work and whatever. And my husband used to get acupuncture all the time. And I'm just like, what a load of bullshit, like blah, blah, woo nonsense, rah, rah. And then, of course, I finally gave in because nothing else worked. And acupuncture would just entirely save my life and still does. And then I'm like, oh, you little, like, uninformed science person, that this, these ancient art forms have been around for so many more years, and they treat the whole picture. Whereas when I was in hospitals, you'd have a specialist for this and specialist for that.
In my science training, we were taught about validity and reliability. And so reliability is like something shows that it's like a test is reliable over time. And I'm thinking like, well, there's nothing more reliable than if you look at yoga. So, and now there's scientific data too, but it's like all these ancient things, they're so reliable. Like they've been here for so long.
So long. So good. When you look at your younger self, Kate, what are you giving to yourself now in this coming home moment of how is that?
Permission to listen. I obviously listen to my heart, but also to find joy in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Pure joy, and not performing for others or, worrying about external feedback the same way that I did most of my life. So it's so freeing. Like I didn't realize how much of my time was spent, and it was often my own issues, right? Like, reporting to the board or people that I felt like were watching every move I made, right? That was created by me. But I lived in that bubble of, wanting the external to be happy with everything I was doing. And now I really don't care. Like I feel like I'm not for everyone. We say that a lot, but I don't need to be for everyone anymore. No. And that release for me has just been a huge shift. And I think I'm investing more in myself now too, which I think for my own kids, they're recognizing. And
that's a gift.
Yes. Even my boys, I think recognize that.
Yeah.
So
good. I imagine like Kate in these days with the arms out, like the jubilant picture in the basketball clothes. And now I'm forever going to think of Betsy upside down, just hanging.
Maybe we can share our pictures with you.
Yeah,
please do. I would really love that because I'll put them when this comes out. I'll put them in our little picture files as well. It's very cool. Okay, final question. Would you like to tell people how they can find TendHER Wild and the work that you do separately as well? Because separate and together.
Yeah. So the podcast website is TendHERWild.com.
Yes.
And you can connect with us through that website.
And if you find it, you also have to do TendHER as two separate words to find it wherever you listen to podcasts, just FYI.
Yeah. I'll put them all underneath.
Issue that we continually deal with. In some ways it bugs me, but other ways I'm like, no, it should be like, you got to want it.
Yeah.
No, that's not the way I should be thinking. And then, KateMorelandCoaching.com is where you can find my work.
Beautiful. And Betsy,
and my work can be found at Dr. Yoga Mama, MOMMA.com.
You have to say the O for Australians listening. It's O, not you.
O. And then you can also find free yoga classes with me at my yoga studio, which is heartlandyoga.com. And there's a bunch of my yoga classes on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, Heartland Yoga YouTube channel, and then also Dr. Yoga Mama YouTube channel. And people often describe my yoga classes as therapy because like I so can't not tie in like I
can't help myself.
Right. So it's sort of like you get to move your body and get a little psychotherapy at the same time.
Oh, so good.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I'm coming to check them out.
Twice a week. Yeah. And so there's lots of free classes that you can check out. And then I do a big kind of signature training called Yoga for the Mind.
Yes.
And it's a certification program that integrates yoga and psychology. And so it's geared towards yoga teachers, mental health professionals, or really serious yoga students who want to know more about the depth of philosophy of yoga and how it really actually lines up so beautifully with the science of psychology.
And I took it myself.
You
so I can
take it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's all these good things about it. So fall 2023 is when that starts up.
So fall is
coming fall. Oh yeah, you guys are the opposite.
Yeah, that does my head in. I'm like, just give me a month.
September
Excellent.
2023.
In my head, I have to go, fall is spring is September.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. That sounds amazing. That's something that I would be interested in. At the moment, I am not allowed to do any yoga and no strength training. So I'm just walking. It's very boring until this joint thing gets sorted. But anyway. Maybe the awareness you just gave me is something that I need to be digging under. Thank you, ladies. I knew this was going to be a beautiful conversation, but so good. I'm so glad I've found you, and thank you for the work you do in the world. So good.
Love having a sister halfway across the world. Speaking the same language.
Yeah, it feels very good to know that you're.
Oh, it's so good. And I just love the fact, we talked about this when we chatted on your show, but that it's because the collective is seeking to heal, there's also a lot of us being called to, to walk alongside that as well. And I just think it's so beautiful to meet other people that, I have got that same desire to be part of that. So thank you, as always. Beautiful way to start my day. Have a good afternoon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into another episode, and I trust you're walking away with inspiration, maybe some chiropractic adjustments of the soul where you've realized perhaps some ways that you're getting in your own way, or something that needs to be healed, or something that's calling to you that your heart really, really wants to birth or create or step into in this second cycle of life. And if that's you, I am throwing my arms wide open and inviting you to check out all of the ways that we could potentially partner together at kyliepatchett.com.au. That's my website for the podcast, and also one-on-one and group programs in midlife mentorship, yoga and breath work in specifically designed menopause classes online, and also super excitingly, a list of retreats around Australia that I have been blessed to partner with some pretty darn spectacular humans who also help midlife mavens through this transition point. So if you are looking for some support, some community, some tools, just a safe place to actually reconnect to who you are, what you want, and come home to your own power and magnificence, I would love to welcome you into any one of those containers. So head on over to kyliepatchett.com.au, and I will be back in your ears very, very soon.